would happen to me, but it did. Didn't happen not too long ago. I needed to find a new place to stay, but I did not want to live alone. So I decided to go on Bumble BFF to find a roommate. I did find a girl there who was also looking for a place to stay, and finally we found one. What I completely had forgotten that apartments do is that they run your credit. So they ran my credit and mine came out perfect. Thank you, Credit Karma, for helping me keep my credit in check. But unfortunately, my roommate had terrible credit. She had collections on her name. They denied us at first, but then called us like a few hours later after we had left and said that if we were willing to, I could co-sign for my roommate, but that meant that if I decided I wanted to leave, and she would have to leave too. If I decided I wanted to leave and she wanted to stay, she would have to find a roommate with better credit than she did in order to stay living there, or she would have to move out. So it was okay, because I thought, we're like, oh, okay, it's only it's only a year, like I'm not gonna want to move anywhere else, so we'll be okay. And it was good at first. Okay, so things were, they were normal. It was okay. It was just the two of us. It was nice. Then she got a boyfriend. And he started coming over a lot. I got this long message from her when I went to Vegas saying that, asking, hey, my boyfriend just lost his job. Is it okay if he can stay with us until he's back on his feet? And me, being way too freaking nice for my own good, said, yeah, only for 3 weeks though, because he's not on a lease, so he has to leave right after. And she agreed to it. After 3 weeks passed, he was still there. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll give it like a few more days. A few more days turned to a month. And then a month turned into a month and a half, and I was like, okay, this guy is not freaking leaving. So I confronted him one day and asked him, hey, do you think that you're gonna be leaving anytime soon? And he said, I don't think so. I said, okay, well, if you decide you're gonna be staying here much longer, you'll need to start paying rent for this upcoming month and for however many months you decide to stay. And he agreed to it. I also asked him, hey, because you are a guy and you have guy friends, it's okay if you have 1 or 2 of them over, but please let me know beforehand that you're gonna have someone over. And also, you cannot let you and no one else can sleep on the couch. I told him, don't let anyone sleep on the couch. You can't sleep on the couch. You need to sleep in her bedroom, because I don't want this brand new couch to become lumpy. I paid a lot of money for it. I want it to be in perfect condition when I leave here. And he agreed to it. But the first incident happened, and the first incident was that he had invited his friend over, and I worked graveyard at the time, so he would invite his friend over at night and let his friend sleep on the couch, and then I would come in at like 6:30 in the morning, and I would see this random dude on my couch, and I was freaked out every time it happened. I think it happened like 3 times, and each time I was freaked out, and I think it was the same dude every time. I would go and wake up that dude. I'm like, hey, you can't sleep here, you need to go home. I was super upset because I already told him, I was like, hey, I'm a small girl. You can't just have, guys I do not know coming over here. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. I need a heads up, and they cannot sleep here. I don't want my brand new stuff getting messed up. Then the next incident happened. Found out that his brother was now homeless and was sleeping in his car, so he decided we needed to give his brother a place to stay. So I didn't know about this, so because I work graveyard, I would sleep all morning, and I would wake up at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, get ready for work, and I'd be out by 5. I'd be gone all night, and I wouldn't be back until 6:30 in the morning the next day. So for 3 weeks, I didn't know that there was another person living in my apartment. It was the brother. I did the same thing I did with the boyfriend that I did with the brother. Have you figured out what's your next step? Do you know where you're gonna stay? And he said no, and I asked him, does he think he wants to stay here? He said, yeah. I said, okay, that's fine, but you also need to pay rent, which he agreed to, and he ended up paying rent. The brother, in his defense, he was a lot better than the boyfriend. The boyfriend wouldn't clean. He was bringing people around that I didn't know. He was letting them sleep on my couch. It really sucked. And then to make things matters worse, the 3 of them decided to throw a party one weekend when I decided I was going to stay at my boyfriend's for the whole weekend. I found out about this afterwards. I found out I didn't know any of the people they invited. They had over at least 10 people in this small 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. Things became rowdy with people that decided to come to this party that they also did not know themselves, and when they told them the party was over, it was time for them to leave, they got mad about it and decided to take my screen door off of its tracks and just throw it on the grass. That's when my roommate and her boyfriend and his brother decided to call the police on them. So these people who came to this party uninvited got arrested, and I didn't find out, not the day of, not the day after, but like 2 days after it actually happened. And I only knew about it because I overheard them talking about it in the kitchen. I came in around the corner. I was like, hey, what are you guys talking about? And then decided to tell me about everything that had happened 2 days before. And then I go back in my room thinking, great, they're throwing parties without telling me about it and inviting people they don't even know. Another thing that the boyfriend was doing that was pissing me off was that he was getting into arguments with my roommate very loudly. Like, I could hear them through the walls. Sometimes they would bring it out into the communal spaces and I'd be hearing them yelling in the kitchen, they'd be yelling in the living room. And one time they got into it so badly that she locked him out of the room and he punched a small hole into her bedroom door in the middle of one of their fights. My roommate, if it was just me and her, things would have probably been okay, but once the boyfriend came into the mix, it just ruined everything. One day, I just had it. I asked him, hey, I see that you haven't been doing dishes. Could you please do the dishes? And I had asked him this before I had to go to work. So I guess he was not happy that I had asked him to do the dishes. He sent me all these messages calling me a bitch, saying that I make too many rules, he pays rent too, that he should be allowed to make rules too, that he was trying to tell me I forgot to mention that I was living in the master bedroom and she was living in the other room that wasn't connected to her bathroom. So he was, in these messages, he was trying to tell me that I don't even deserve the master bedroom. There was 3 people living in the smaller bedroom and sharing one bathroom. And I'm just like, the reason why it's set up like that is because you're not on the freaking lease. If I knew I was going to be moving in with you and your girlfriend and your freaking brother, I would be living in a 3-bedroom apartment, not a 2-bedroom. So the reason why you're in this situation is because you've created this situation. So honestly, I was just like, I was getting all these messages, I was replying, and finally I was just like, oh, okay, I'm done with this. So I called my boyfriend up while I was at work and I told him what had happened. He told me that I should probably tell the office about the apartment office about what's going on. So the next day I did, once they opened, I told them everything. I told them how there was people living in my apartment that were paying rent but that were not on the lease, and they would not leave when I asked them to. And I wanted to end my lease because of it. People in other offices were gathering over to the desk, hearing my story, and they're like, oh no, I can't believe they did that to you. And they were just pretty much all on my side, and they're like, yeah, you were right to come to us about this. Like, this isn't right. They're treating you very badly. You didn't sign up for any of this. I signed some papers. They told me that whatever, I think I was moving out like 4 months early from the end of my lease. So me and my roommate were responsible for paying the last of what was left on our lease. I did that. Then I went over around the corner. There was a storage unit place, so I set up an account with them and found a storage unit that was big enough to hold all my stuff. The next day, my boyfriend came and his friend came with his truck, and they both helped me move all of my stuff out of the apartment and into the storage unit, and I moved in with my boyfriend. A week later, I came and told them what I had done. I gave them the eviction notice, and I said, hey, you didn't like how things were set up here, so I'm giving you a chance to go find somewhere else where you can, get a place where things are the way you want it. So I handed them the eviction notice and freaking left. That was the worst roommate I ever had. Technically, she wasn't the worst roommate. It was her boyfriend who was the worst roommate I ever had. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I learned from that. move in with someone you do not know, try finding one of those like quizzes that college dorms do to match people with other students, and it'll ask questions about like your cleanliness levels, your quiet hours, how social are you, and if you're single, whatever. I don't know. I think that's how the quizzes work, but I bet you could find one like that online. When I first moved into the apartment, I completely like was in such a rush to just move into the place that I didn't take any pictures or walk through it with a leasing agent to make sure that all the little stuff that were like not perfect about the apartment, that it was like captured with a date of what it looked like, so I could compare it to when I moved out, so I wouldn't be charged for it in my deposit. Never buy brand new furniture in your not forever home. If you are going to buy furniture for a place you're staying, never spend more than like $100 on a piece of furniture for it, okay? And split that cost with your roommate. Do not let your roommate add people in the house unless they are trying to put their names also on the lease, because then if everyone who's living in that place all have their names on the lease, then everyone whose name's on there is accountable. So what I did was really bad, because then I couldn't hold him accountable for paying the rest of the money on the lease when I decided I wanted to end the lease early. And the last thing was, you need to make sure that that place is spotless before you leave, because I decided to go like the last night before it was the day we were turning the apartment to the apartment office. Me and my boyfriend walked through the place, and they had kind of low-key like kind of trashed the place. I think there was trash. Yeah, there's just pieces of trash pretty much everywhere in the apartment. And worst of it all is that in the middle of her bedroom, like a fresh poop in the middle of her bedroom. I didn't even pick it up. I was so grossed out. I was just like, I don't even want to be the person to clean this up, because this whole situation was not fair to me. Yeah. So pretty much what I learned from this experience is that don't move in with roommates unless you really get to know them first. Ask them every single question you can think of. Roommates can really suck, and sometimes they can be really good. This experience has taught me not to be so naive with people I don't know, and not to just expect that everyone's good. Go in there with full eyes. Get as much advice as you can from others about what you should be doing when you get your first roommate. In the comments, leave me some suggestions about what you would tell yourself if you were getting a new roommate. Let me know who was your worst roommate. You don't have to give me names, but like tell me about your worst experience with a roommate. This is not the only bad experience I've had with a roommate. This is just the worst. I've only ever had one bad roommate before this, and we were sharing. This is when I lived in a college dorm. She lived in the same room as me, and she decided that to have sex with her boyfriend in her bed that was literally like 2 to 3 feet away from my bed while I was trying to sleep. It was the worst thing ever. So I wish that upon no one.